Vancouver's latest housing sales figures are out, and for home buyers shut out of the single home dwellings, they're starting to turn more and more to the condo market. And that's driving supplies of condos down to all-time lows. Joining us now for a look is Steve Saretsky. He's a realtor at Sutton West Coast and a blogger behind Van City Condo Guide. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Hey, my pleasure, Greg.
All right, so this makes perfect sense in a market where the average person has no chance at all of owning a detached home. Of course, you're going to look to the condo space as the last bastion of affordability, but it looks like it's getting pretty tight. What are you seeing on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing right now is basically inventory has dropped significantly year over year. It's about a 25% drop of inventory. So currently we're at all-time record low inventory levels. So what that's doing is that's creating a lot of bidding wars. We're seeing a ton of multiple offers. I think for Vancouver condos, the number in April is something around 40% of condos actually sold over asking price. So it's definitely a huge crunch. Locals are trying to get into the market, and of course, this is sort of the last bit of affordability that's remaining.
Now, for the locals, as you said, trying to get into the market, the last bit of affordability remaining, but what's your sense in terms of the foreign buyer? This issue obviously keeps coming up over and over again in Vancouver. We understood that there was activity in the high end of the market, and those $5, $6, $7 million homes. Are they very prevalent in the condo space, though?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think obviously there was definitely a huge influx of foreign capital coming into the market, specifically in 2016. What I'm personally noticing, feet on the ground sort of thing, it's definitely dropped off in 2017. I wouldn't say that's nearly as active in the condo market. I think what I'm seeing right now is a lot of locals, a lot of local investors. And I think we can also see that in the numbers as well. If you look at sort of the high-end detached homes, those are still under a lot of pressure, because the foreign buyer isn't quite there. They're not where they used to be anyways.
It's interesting that you bring up the domestic speculator, because there's a lot of concern about that in Ontario, and the Ontario government, the finance minister, have sort of made them the whipping child of all of this, saying it's speculation, it's that deep pocket money. Is that what you're seeing in the condo space too? A lot of people just thinking, here's the next place where I'm going to make my big bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously when prices go up, I think you look at condo prices, they're up about 50% in the last 2 years. I think there's this mentality that's sort of built in that, prices can only go up. So what we're definitely seeing is a lot of, sort of mom and pop investors that are, using equity that they built up in their single family home, and they're sort of leveraging that into buying, a second property, which is generally, a condo, and whether that's helping out, their son or daughter, that's also very prevalent, but definitely seeing a lot of local investors in the market right now.
Now, we're heading into a provincial election. Is there any sense, as this last area of affordability starts to feel the strain of speculation and a lot of money coming in, that the politicians will at least pledge to do something about it?
Yeah, I think it's sort of front and center right now in terms of the elections. Everyone's looking to it. I mean, personally, I do have clients that are sort of waiting to see what the outcome of the election is going to be. I think that people that are looking for affordability, or maybe in hopes that prices will sort of level off or come down, I think they're obviously hoping for an NDP outcome. So it's very interesting to watch, how people are reacting to the elections. And again, because there's been such a focus on this in the political space, everyone has a close eye on May 9th.
Now, I know you focus on the condo space, but when we talk about those single-family homes, when I took a look at the numbers that the Real Estate Board put out themselves, I did a quick bit of math. From the high point of an average selling price to where we are right now, we're down about 3%. Does that sound right in terms of the pullback in prices we've seen in that end of the market?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of sporadic. It just depends on each area. I think if you're grouping them all together as one lump sum, that's what the average sale price would say. I think from prices when they were at their peak, roughly about late spring to early summer last year, I would say they're down for the most part around 10% in most of these areas. And again, it's sort of greater at the higher end, and the lower end, basically anything under 1.5, there hasn't been a whole lot of movement there. But yeah, so again, it sort of depends on each area.
Now, what do you see in terms of the spring selling season? We know the condo market is hot. How about some of the attached homes? Are we seeing a lot of heat there as well?
In the detached, sorry?
No, not the detached, the middle, the townhomes, that middle area.
Yeah, townhomes are definitely, they're performing quite well. I mean, there really aren't a whole lot of them to begin with. So, that's sort of that gap. You're almost stuck between going through a condo and a detached house. So sort of anytime a townhouse comes up, I think it's it's a significant play for a lot of people. So townhouses are still moving quite well. Again, it's sort of that affordability. Anything basically below 1.5 seems to be moving quite well in really any market.
Now, some people I'm talking to are of the mind that Vancouver, after the huge drop in sales activity we saw last year, the market was starting to come off. Then we had the foreign buyer tax. Some people stood at the sidelines. They feel that all of that has been digested and we're going to hit full throttle again in the coming weeks and months, even in the single detached market. Do you think their fears are founded?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to watch in terms of the human behavior aspect. I think that I think we've gotten to the point now where we've sort of digested this tax. People think, okay, we haven't really seen the big crash or the huge correction. It's sort of everyone's just carry on as usual. Maybe this is perceived as the new norm sort of thing. So I think a lot of that is digested. Like I said, it seems to be a lot of locals in the market right now. Again, anything under 1.5 is moving, so I think there is that sense that, again, maybe this is the new norm, and this is, I think that a lot of those fears have sort of subsided.
All right, well, thanks for your time today, Steve.
Always a pleasure, Greg. Thanks a lot.
That was Steve Saretsky, realtor at Sutton West Coast and a blogger behind the VanCityCondoGuide.com from Vancouver.